What's going on, guys? Today we're checking out the Kiwi Ears slash C Reviews collaboration headphone called the Kiwi Ears Serene. And there's a $160 Planar magnetic headphone, closed back, which promises to give great planar magnetic performance at a very reasonable price point. And it definitely comes in at a nice price. But I think it has some issues that really need to be resolved in an updated version of it, or just the sequel, the next edition of this specific collaboration with Z Reviews. As a disclaimer, Kiwi Ears did send this to me out for review, but they didn't give me any restrictions, they didn't pay me. So these are my pure honest thoughts on this product. And just to be completely frank, I don't really like this product all that much, which is kind of disappointing because I really liked the Kiwi Ears Altruva that I checked out from them a couple weeks ago. I've also checked out the Kiwi Ears Ardor, which was a $100 ANC wireless Bluetooth headphone, which I actually found pretty decent, sounded quite good. I didn't think they were overly comfortable, but it was a pretty decent product at the price. And I know a lot of people like their IEMs, so I was particularly kind of excited for this one, but it just doesn't do it for me. And a lot of it comes down to the build quality and the comfort. I don't think the materials are all that bad, to be honest. Actually, the ear cups have a nice like vegan leather that feels pretty good on your ears. I wish the ear cups were bigger. They're just not big enough for my ears. They kind of feel more like an on-ear headphone than an over-ear. I just wish that it was a little bit wider and a little bit taller. The depth is actually not that bad. So if you have kind of smaller ears, you shouldn't have too much of an issue there. I like this leather on the top. I like this leather on the headband here as well. I wish there was a little bit more foam, but you don't really feel it because it's a pretty lightweight headphone. And also, I feel like the looks could have been fantastic because I really like this purple type of color on the frame and here on the ear cup itself. But when you put them on your head, they really do stick out a lot, so they kind of look a little bit weird. But that's subjective, and obviously you're going to be at home, so it's not a huge deal. But I really like the hint of purple, the little pop of purple that you get. Something different, because I feel like a lot of headphones are just straight up black, and it's kind of boring. These do have a lot of black, though, and they do show fingerprints. As you guys can see, there's some fingerprints there. A little bit of an oily fingerprint here, so not ideal. But overall, I think they look pretty sleek. They're quite lightweight. The clamp force is okay. It is a little bit clampy, and I don't find them overly comfortable. Every time I put them on, I just feel like my head is kind of getting squeezed a little bit. Plus, there's like a pressure feeling that I get when I put these on. I know this is obviously a closed back, so it's prone to happen with certain headphones, but this one just seems to be worse for me than a lot of other ones. I'm just getting too much like ear pressure when I put them on. In addition, I'm hearing a lot of driver crinkle, driver flex, just when I'm putting them on, and then if I push in on the sides, which obviously don't do that, but it's bound to happen. And a lot of people have dealt with a similar thing with the driver flex. And I think there might be a workaround. Z Reviews has a video to get around that and get around the bass rattling, which is also an issue, which I've noticed with this headphone. If you're experiencing either of those issues, I would say check out Z Reviews video. I'll have it linked down below in the description for you to check out and for you to perform kind of an operation on this headphone if you do like everything else about it. But I also really don't like the microphonics that come with this cable. It's an issue. It's an issue. And even Z Reviews himself has talked about it. They really should get a different cable for these headphones, which kind of sucks because I actually like don't mind the build quality of the cable itself. The fabric is decent. I like this little Z Reviews branding here on the little clip. And overall, it looks nice and it feels quite nice. But anything this cable touches, it just transports the sound directly into the ear cups, and it's quite annoying. It's quite annoying, and combined with the ear pressure that I'm getting, I'm really just not having a fun experience when I have these on my head. As for how easy they are to drive, I would definitely recommend getting an amp for these. I think most Planar magnetics are going to want an amp. But I started out testing them out with this little USB-C dongle, USB-C to 3.5 millimeter dongle. That did not work. Not even at full volume was I getting enough power. Plus I was getting a buzzing noise in the left ear cup. Then I got myself a Kiwi Ears Allegro Pro, which is quite a nice little DAC, quite a nice little mobile portable DAC, which has worked well with other headphones that I've tried. And they do give me enough power for the Kiwi Ears Serene, but I do have to get to around 80-85%, which is still quite a lot. And I do get a little bit of buzzing every now and then. So you have to step up for an amp, I believe, for these, and that'll kind of let them shine a little bit more in terms of sound quality. Speaking of sound quality, I think most people will enjoy these. For the most part, I think it depends. If you're like a pure audiophile, you like neutrality, you like more of an emphasis in the mid-range and the higher frequencies, then these might not be for you. I think these are more geared for like consumer-driven people who are kind of used to bassy wireless Bluetooth headphones. Obviously, these sound better than the normal wireless Bluetooth headphones that you see out there, most of them at least. But they are definitely a warmer, more bassy type of experience, and it's kind of a safe tune. Everything sounds okay, everything sounds fine. They don't sound bad by any means, but there's a little bit too much of an emphasis on the bass on the low end, and it kind of just drowns out everything else. Even vocals take a pretty big step back, and everything just kind of sounds a little bit veiled, especially in the higher frequencies. The treble pop, the treble detail just really isn't there with this pair. Given that they're a closed back, obviously they're not going to have a wide soundstage, but they're not like completely closed and narrow of a soundstage. Instrument separation just isn't fully there for me, at least to my ears, and I'm just getting too much of a warm, safe type of presentation with more just emphasis on the low end and lower mids. The good thing is that there's no sibilance, so this is a very non-fatiguing type of sound signature. So for longer listening sessions, I think they could do quite well. And I think they can be pretty good for hip hop, EDM, rap types of genres that have a lot of bass to them and rely on a lot of bass. I think these could be fun to listen to for those genres, and certain tracks can really, get you energized because of that low end power. And it's a very clean bass for the most part. If you don't get the bass rattling, it's a very clean low end, and it's quite pleasing. But if you've gotten used to headphones, audiophile headphones, that are just a little bit more neutral and really don't have as much low end presence as these, it's going to be tough to kind of get used to. And I just wish there was some more detail in the upper mid range and low treble. I just feel like I'm missing stuff. I feel like I'm missing information. And I really didn't love how vocals were quite pushed back in mixes. Like for instance, The Weeknd's voice sounds quite, not necessarily muffled, a little bit muffled, but it sounds just veiled. If it sounds like it's not the star of the show, which on a lot of songs it's supposed to be. So it's not the best. It could be useful for gaming, actually, because it gives you quite an immersive experience. The problem is you can't really plug it into a PS5 controller because you're not going to get enough volume. But if you hook these up to like a Fuzzy Audio K7 DAC, then these could be quite good for single player immersive story games. So I think it'll come down to your use case, whether you can get used to the fit, which I didn't find overly comfortable, and you don't mind the bass rattling, the driver flex, and stuff like that. If you're looking for more of a safe tune with a lot of bass, I think these could actually work for you. But they just didn't work for me, and it is what it is. Also, I would suggest getting a new cable and just hooking these up to an amp, and maybe they could be decent for you. So I'll have an Amazon affiliate link down below if you guys want to check these out. The MSRP is $160, although I've seen them go down to $135. At least during the holidays, I saw that. So if you want, check them out and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. See you guys in the next one.